Well, it's already been a Dork Discourse Tuesday, folks. Deleting hate comments before we even get started, but right out of the gate, follow up with Rayside joining in. Oh my god, I'm
What up, what up?
fangirling. Stop. I'm so honored. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. Oh my
Kiara
goodness.
Mundi in the flesh. Welcome.
Thank you for restoring my faith upon immediately having to delete hate comments right out of the gate, but it's all right, folks. Wouldn't be an Acolyte discussion without it. Happy Tuesday,
How's
everybody!
everybody doing?
Shout out to everybody in the early game. We got Epic Dude, Charlie, Sean, Alice, Lord Fell, William, Jason Olsen. What's up? What's up? Stanley's Josh. My goodness, friends, thank you all so much for tuning in. It's an exciting day today, folks. After a week of waiting.
Yes. After the biggest cliffhanger, maybe in Star Wars history. I think the only one that beats it would be The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
We wait from 2005 to 2015, 10-year drought of Star Wars content, and the first thing we get is literally all about finding Luke Skywalker, and then JJ leaves us literally on the cliff right after finding
And
Luke.
that was
I think that beats it.
2 years. Well, that was 2 years worth of waiting versus 1 week.
And then we had to wait 2 years for The Last Jedi
Yes.
to find out what happens. But
Before we fully dive in, thank y'all so much for the kind words. If you guys have already checked out Another Man's Trash, the short film that I didn't just recently do it. It just recently came out on Amazon Prime Video, available for rent or purchase, and some of you guys have already went to check it out. That literally means the world to me. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for all the kind messages in the chat here. Connor,
awesome.
let's go, Phils. I hope Darth Teef is a new character. I do as well, and I actually tweeted that this week, or X'd it, or posted it. What is the new verbiage for?
I think people still say tweet.
Tweeted
You
it.
just tweet on X.
I can still do that. Yes.
No?
I tweeted that is still where I stand. I kind of am a little bit more freaked out and concerned by the thought of this still being an unknown identity to us, and got a lot of really interesting actually responses and new theories that people were suggesting on Twitter. Some people saying they don't want this person to be unmasked at any point, like for it to remain a total mysterious entity to us, a mystery. Somebody suggested it could be a third twin, which I think, well, that would make them triplets, I guess.
Yeah.
The triplet of the triad. That was the first I had heard about that from the Twitterverse, but
Yeah.
that could be interesting. And of course the other theories of Mother Coral, perhaps Mother Anastasia. What else? People were throwing out a lot of interesting things. Smilo Ren, yes. Darth.
Vanestra.
That I think is wild, but we
said
haven't seen them in the same room yet.
People have said it.
No.
And I think it would explain a lot of the secrecy and we can't tell the High Council. We'll handle it ourselves. Yada yada yada. Like if she's involved, explains a lot of that.
This is true.
Explains a lot of that.
Danny!
Daddy!
Remember, for 29 months, holy shnikes, one more till the big 3-0 on the master level. I hope everyone's having a blessed week. Hey, Kat and Tom, I'm sorry this isn't Star Wars related, but I have to know, did Kendrick Lamar's concert last week at the Forum cause any crazy traffic jams? When was that? There's always crazy traffic jams in LA.
There's crazy traffic jams last night because of the Copa America game. Brazil,
Yes.
Costa Rica. That was at SoFi Stadium last night.
Yes.
And that was right around, it was 6 p.m. Pacific time, so I was getting off work and stuck in a little bit of spots, trying to get past the general area of the stadium.
Yeah.
But if it was a concert, probably don't know, because it would have likely been later in the evening than that. So at least I would have been already through that area. So, not sure.
Yes.
Not sure. In and around the Forum, absolutely for sure. I'm sure it was a madhouse to get in there, but good question. I don't know.
Yeah, speaking of Copa America, early tease, fair warning, y'all, come 2026, we very well may be turning into a soccer channel to celebrate the World Cup. It's like Tom's major holiday.
It's a summer of soccer right now with Copa America
It
and the
is.
Euros. So I know, Bird Church is a big soccer guy himself. But if anybody else is in here is a soccer fan,
Stay
Hope you
tuned.
keep enjoying the summer so far.
Danny, holy
Anyway,
shnikes,
Danny,
following up with...
Danny.
Stop, you're too generous. This is like third week in a row, my friend. You don't freaking have to. You're too kind. But thank you so much, Danny, for the super chat. Also, go check out Another Man's Trash. It is a really great 30-minute film, and Ket is beyond amazing. Stop, Danny. Thank you so much. Your comment meant so much to me, because I could really tell that you, like, your analysis of the film, it just, like, oh my god, I really cried. All your guys' comments, like, truly made me cry. So thank you, Danny, so much. That means the world to me. I think I actually saw the creator of the film posted that we're up to over 100 streams already, and it's only been on Amazon Prime for less than a week, I think. So thank you, guys.
Awesome.
And from Sean, member for 8 months, let's go!
Sean!
Hello, this is for all to keep this fandom a safe place of light. We are all one people, yet we live as if divided. Star Wars is for all to love and appreciate. Always grateful to this community. Sean, I'm grateful to you amongst all of the other moderators, but for all the light that you bring to this community. Thank you so much, my friend. But yes, to Sean, Charlie, all the other mods, God warriors right now on the front lines, defending our comment sections. They've been truly working overtime as of late for reasons I'm sure you guys know. We don't have to dive into that. We're here to talk fun theories today. But shout out to yourself, Sean, Charlie, all the moderators, who've been helping to keep things clean over here.
Yes, shout out to you guys. You guys are awesome.
In the trenches, doing the Lord's work. Did I see the new Penguin trailer? Asks Sal. Not yet. Perhaps I should react to it. I actually filmed a reaction to the initial teaser, but that character still... I'm not the most well-versed in that character's lore necessarily, so I feel like I didn't have much commentary to contribute, but I don't know, maybe I'll film reactions to the show. It actually does look so good.
Yeah. You should.
Vernestra is not the Sith. I know from the books. It totally goes against her character. Yeah, that's one reason.
It would be a stretch, but it would be a great explanation for her secrecy and convincing other Jedi to not involve the High Council. Like, if she's directly involved in trying to cover her own tracks, like, that's a really good explanation for that whole thing. Because I think one of the biggest concerns that people have voiced over the last week since the episode came out is why are they gonna shove this under the rug? And the fact that Ki-Adi-Mundi is involved, if they do directly say and the Jedi acknowledge that this creature, this thing, person is a Sith, and Ki-Adi-Mundi is there, and he says, "Oh, we found a Sith," and then in the Phantom Menace, they've been extinct for millennia. Then I think that's where people are getting rubbed the wrong way. But we don't know yet because they don't know what's going on. Like, in that moment, they're saying, "Yeah, Jedi are dying. They are trained by a Jedi or something who is Force knowledgeable," but they don't know it's a Sith yet. They have no idea. The Master, Smilo Ren, Darth Teef, whoever, just made their big reveal to the Jedi in this last episode, and then we got the biggest cliffhanger since The Force Awakens. So, I think the Jedi do not know until the last 30 seconds of that episode that this is a red lightsaber wielding, Force sensitive, anonymous thing.
One thing that you and I talked about, though, so of course, Tom and I watch the episodes separately. I film my reactions in here, and he watches, on our main television, and then we get to debrief afterwards. And last week was hilarious. We literally had like book club after, like, fully honing in, had the screen grab, the freeze frame on the TV, trying to dissect who this person could be.
Sure.
But your biggest point was you immediately are like, this is not the true master at hand.
Oh.
Because why the F would he be revealing himself?
Yeah. No. This master is going to get, pardon my French, their ass whooped by the real master. Once the real master finds out you revealed yourself to the Jedi, ass whooping is coming for whoever this person is.
That is the question.
The true master is going to stay hidden, I think. This one is going to ultimately get completely torn to shreds by the real master for stepping out of line, probably out of emotion. If it is Chimere, it's a quick transition between, oh, May just betrayed me, I have to act now out of emotion and rage
Mm.
of being betrayed, and I'm gonna go do the dirty work, and I have no choice in my hubris, my justified hubris of rage and betrayal, go reveal myself to the Jedi and try and take them on. And then that's going to get briefed up to the real master afterwards, and real master is not going to have it.
Yeah, that does raise the question. Whoever this is, what is the reasoning? That is one reason that would corroborate the theories that this could be Chimere, because only he knows that May confessed her entire intentions to him and that she's forsaken this deal, whatever pledge she had with this master figure who's kind of been controlling her, puppeteering her. She's been acting on their behalf, doing their dirty work, and for what necessarily? So, yes, that supports the Chimere theory. However, I don't know, perhaps I'm so tunnel vision that I want this to be a mysterious person. I want this to be somebody entirely new to the fold. Because not that I feel like Chimere's too obvious at this point, but I don't know. For me, it would feel a little bit. Everyone's been suggesting though, perhaps he's the red herring, And from what I've heard about Leslie Headland's past work, it's always way more entrenched. There's a lot in the works. There's a lot that of the mystery still unfolding. So, but however, I also feel like it would make my biggest question about Chimere, as you guys saw in my reaction, was what stake does he have in all this? What is he gaining from? Is he also indebted? He and May sharing the same master. Like, is he also indebted to this person for some reason? So now he's been collaborating with May. Kind of mutually beneficial for both of them. But why necessarily is he so invested in helping May? And I feel like there's more to explore there from his character's motivations beyond just, oh, he's the master. He's really the one who's been pulling the strings all along. That's why he's invested. I feel like it opens a more interesting discussion about why would he want to be helping May? Why would someone, especially like smuggler characters in Star Wars, like the scoundrels and smugglers particularly, always have kind of an interesting moral compass to be explored, and I feel like that's the case here with Chimere, because it's like he's doing all these sketchy, questionable things, yet he has so much investment in helping May here. So I don't know, we'll see. Listen, I don't think we're gonna actually find out tonight. That's one thing I keep reminding myself. Like all week I've been like, who is this person? We gotta wait a whole week to figure it out. But then I'm like, we might not even actually know, as some people enlightened me on Twitter. Like, perhaps we're not even gonna find out. This person might not even be unmasked before the season's up.
Maybe not.
And I also keep forgetting that all of the Jedi just got force-eated like crazy. Osha just got absolutely tossed. Like, who's gonna make it out of this alive? Honestly, if you're an unnamed Jedi right now that was in that group traveling to Kobar, I think you're done. I think you're finished.
Yeah, they brought a lot of corpses with them to whatever the name of the planet is.
As long as Basil is safe.
Yeah. And Basil goes MIA.
Yeah.
After May trips and falls into mushrooms, he starts screeching.
We've never seen Basil and Smilo Ren in the same room at once, y'all.
Yep.
Where did he come?
Not at all. Totally not the same room. So I think there's a bit of a height discrepancy. That's what stilts are for. That's what robotic limbs are for.
Alice raises a good question. Yeah, do you think all the Jedi would die in this scene? They have to, right? You make a really good point, and I had said in my reaction to last week's episode, I think for Nestra and the Jedi corroborating here to keep this concealed, to keep this on the down low so that they don't disturb the High Council and draw the wrong kind of attention, or, this entire scenario would cast doubt upon the Jedi Order and their, if some rando is able to attack them and eliminate a handful of Jedi, in combat, that definitely would tarnish their kind of their standing and legitimacy in the public eye, I feel like, and amongst their political enemies at this time. So, but I think that decision is going to come back to bite them in the butt. And so if immediately they were to try to keep this down low mission, just send a group of qualified Jedi, and then, like,
No one comes
half of
back.
them get wiped,
No.
except for maybe like Saul, Jecki, and Yord. That's why I'm like, if you're an unnamed Jedi right now,
I think even the name Jedi
Jesus, take the wheel.
are in trouble here. Yeah.
No, no.
Mm,
If you all right, well, we know not Saul. He's like one of the main characters of this show. No, there's no
no, you're
way.
right. If they're gonna kill Soul, we're gonna get like flashback episodes, and then the finale is when Soul would die.
That's
Or the
another
second
thing
to last
that
episode.
people have been saying. Are they going to pull a Book of Boba Fett here and completely cut to, not even continue off of that cliffhanger, but go do something else?
We're gonna get Mandalorian season 3.5 tonight. Is that what we're gonna get?
100 years in the future. I think they're going to need backup though, because I think, and I actually, another quick little mini plug here before I forget, I'll share the link on my community post page, but if you guys haven't already, go check out, I was lucky enough to be a guest on, if you follow Sawyerism and Brooke on Twitter, they host the Yap Sesh podcast, which was a super fun chat. We have some very unhinged, wild theories and rabbit holes that we explored when it comes to Master Soul in particular, and maybe his role in all of this, but go check that out. But I'll link that in my community posts for you guys to watch the full episode. We talked for maybe an hour or so, and it was such a good time. Where am I going with this? What were we talking about? Oh yes, in our discussion, Sawyer and Brooke had mentioned that we're pretty much probably, I think we've seen all of the trailer footage, with the exception of a few clips, one of them being the infamous lightsaber whip with Vernestra in a similar environment, like similar wooded area. So perhaps enough Jedi get wiped the frick out that she has to make a last ditch effort to go there and clean up.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if she is the one who actually apprehends
Darth
this
Teef
apprentice. Yeah, and I feel like, I mean, clearly, Smilo Ren just, like you said, tossed. Osha got the flick of the wrist toss, and then every other, the 6, 7, whatever other Jedi there got just, blasted back. So, I mean, we know in some of the TV spots and whatnot that, I mean, we're gonna see, saber to saber combat here.
Yeah.
But this Force wielder has the potential to take a lot of lives in this moment, and if they're overwhelmed, I mean, none of them have had this type of conflict before.
Yeah.
Right? Like we're not in the Clone Wars. These Jedi have just had, stick twirling in the Jedi Temple for centuries.
Literally,
that's it.
Jecki's literally only like a Padawan.
Yeah.
This is probably her first ever like hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, they're going to be completely, I think we're going to see that they're completely overwhelmed and they don't even know what to do. It's just total shock. So it's going to take, I think, a true master of this time to come in and actually tame this untamed dark side version of a Jedi that the real Jedi at the temple haven't seen for centuries.
Shout out to Charlie, you beat me to it. Shout out mods.
So I think it makes sense for Vernestra to have to come in and play cleanup.
Well, because then she's gonna be like
the...
eating her own words, like keep this quiet, keep it secret, keep it safe. And then she's gonna be like, frick, we should have brought in the big guns. We've not been firing on all cylinders right now. We only sent, we sent B team when really we needed friggin' Yoda and all the heavy powered flyers and whatnot. But yeah, no, that's the big question. How many of them are gonna survive, make it off this planet okay, and just the fact that this is only still the middle of the season. We still have 4 episodes to go after this. How is this going to be resolved? You had suggested something like perhaps this person captures Osha.
Yeah, I could see this dark side person taking some hostages. And like if they're overwhelmed and like he's got Saber by Osha's neck and says, leave or she dies. Like it could be a hostage type situation, and then Vernestra gets called in for the hostage rescue mission. I could see that happening. But I think a few of the unnamed Jedi are going to pay the ultimate sacrifice, pay the ultimate price before we would get to the hostage situation. but I think it makes sense. I mean, we see multiple clips, like you were saying, in this jungle. And so if they're going to be here for multiple episodes, it's probably not just going to be one battle. It'll be maybe a prolonged thing, and a hostage situation makes sense. If now May has to team up with the Jedi after she already killed the Jedi to rescue Osha from her ex-master now.
Yeah, that could be interesting. The biggest question is, what, this person upon floating into the scene, by the way, I feel like that gets glossed over because so much transpired after that within the 15 seconds following that epic entrance. But after floating in, which I hope they do again, please. I just want to see them floating around a little bit more, but they immediately have like a confrontation stare down with Osha, and it seemed like personal. Do you think that's just coincidence because she happened to be right there, the first person in their way?
That was personal.
Or was it? Yeah, it felt like there was some familiarity. I don't know. It was so, interesting. There May was ready to forsake this mission, this deal that she's been on, acting on behalf of this master, whoever's controlling her, for the sake of her sister, now that she knows Osha's alive again. And this, that last 5 minutes upon when she finds Kelnaka's body to then sun immediately sets, convenient, and then, sky goes dark and she realizes her master's presence, he's there. It reminded me so much of that scene in Kenobi when he and Tala are looking out the window, just frozen, paralyzed with fear, as Vader is marching down the village, harassing everybody all along the way. Like, May, there she is after saying, my sister's alive and that's who I'm loyal to. She stood there frozen in fear and watched her sister get absolutely just tossed. Yep. Like, I'm not critiquing that. I think that there's like not necessarily humor in that, but it's like that's how freaking scared she is of this person. She couldn't even interfere in that moment and was just paralyzed with fear that she couldn't even step in to save. Granted, it was the flick of a wrist. You were right. It was literally just like spontaneous toss.
Yeah. So, Bruno has a fantastic comment. Instead of a hostage situation, we can have a horror-esque chase into the woods, and the Sith kills them one by one.
Stop it! No.
Listen, they already were ramping up the horror game with the last episode, with the transition to Dark. He's here.
Yeah.
And then the eerie, like, creaky, staticky horror music, and just the slow, like, walk up straight to Osha's face. Like, that was total horror themes in that scene. So it could be something like that, where there's the initial, they're totally overwhelmed. I think maybe it is like a hostage-esque situation where it takes Osha deep into the woods. They send the rescue parties, but like some stay back, some go. The first wave that goes doesn't come back, they get killed. Then the next person goes, the next wave goes, they die, and then there's just the remainder, and then they got to strategize. And like it, I think we could see kind of a hide and seek. Oh, dead. Oh, dead. Like a hide and seek horror type of thing in the woods. I don't think it's just going to be 8 Jedi on
the
Darth
defense
Teef for a full.
They might have to
fight, full
divide and conquer, perhaps.
Yeah.
Nicholas, what's up? First time here. Thanks for joining.
What's up, Nicholas?
How are you both? We're doing fabulous. We're so
Welcome.
excited for this episode, which I believe I saw on Twitter. Molly Damon of Star Wars Explained tweeted today that Leslie Headland stated that this was her favorite episode of the season. It's like, frick.
Oh.
What is it about episode 5's? Because that's what it was with Ahsoka, too. Rosario Dawson at Celebration said episode 5 was her favorite.
Like someone asked her, what's your favorite episode? He said, well, I can't really say, but if I had to pick a number, I don't know.
She was very low-key about it. Julian, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend.
Thank you.
Have you seen the theory video clip from Revenge of the Sith that he plays Palpatine and Anakin discussing the midichlorians to create life? Oh, that's right. True. That's right. There's so much still unsolved mystery surrounding, Osha and May's origins, their conception, but I know we were talking about this last week with a similar context to House of the Dragon. Have they usurped the Chosen? Their claim Does this
Yep.
contend with Anakin's claim? But my opinion still is no. I'm pretty steadfast on. I think the Coven, Mother Anastasia, there's so much more in this universe, and frankly, I feel like they would frown upon the concept of midichlorians because that's their perception of what they refer to as the thread, which she alluded to. That's what the Jedi call the Force. Like, it seems very much like they frown upon the exclusivity of the way that Jedi weaponize it and imply that the Force is only reserved for the few who have it. If it's an innate ability that you either have or you don't. Versus the Coven seem to subscribe much more to what we've heard. I think it's Yoda has said before. It flows through all things, all living beings.
Well, that's what
Um,
Ahsoka proved, is that they literally start the series saying how Sabine is the last
yeah,
person who could
yeah.
ever potentially be a force sensitive Jedi in every single way, but then the circumstances pull together in
Yeah.
the right way that it ends up happening. So,
So I feel like they have a whole different perspective, and therefore I don't think that they would subscribe to the concept of midichlorians because that's kind of an anatomical thing that the Jedi use to as proof of like, oh look, you're born with it, or the higher your midichlorians, the more powerful you would be. Like, that's why I don't think they would. I don't know. I'm not subscribed to the notion that May and Osha's conception is in any way, shape, or form similar to Anakin's being conceived via the Force. There's so much other sorcery and magic at work here that I feel like they could have employed, and it's been made clear that they were up to something that was enough to get them exiled, banished. They're kind of like hidden from society. They literally moved to this planet, Brendok, which isn't even part of the Republic. Like, I don't think they would be. There's something more questionable, I feel like, in the works for how Osha and May came to be conceived. So, I don't think, in my opinion, that's what's like. There's still so much in this
yeah,
show to freaking unravel, and it's
yeah,
like, will we be getting these answers necessarily? Uh, TBD.
yeah. Which, I mean, kind of touches on the theme of the short that came out today on Catherine's channel, which is Star Wars shows coming out all at once. And I think that, like, if you think about the prequels, for example, 20-year gap between Return of the Jedi and the Phantom Menace, and the Phantom Menace comes out, and a lot of people are upset because there's so many questions and unanswered questions of, okay, this doesn't look anything like the original trilogy. How do we get there? But then eventually, 6 years later, Revenge of the Sith has come out, and it's like a perfect wrap up, a nice little bow
We just got
that you get tied into the original trilogy, and it bridges the gap. And then it's like, oh, okay, now it all makes sense. Now all the questions have been answered, and now we're into the original trilogy. Then you can say the same thing about Kenobi. It's like, oh, well, we know what happens in A New Hope, and then even that one, we know what happens in Revenge of the Sith. Kenobi first episode comes out, and it's like, oh, there's a million questions. Like, how does this make sense? What's going on here? Yada yada. Like, how do we get to where we were in New Hope and all this stuff? But then you get at the end of the Kenobi, and I think both of us are in agreement, at least, that all the questions pretty much were answered, and at least plot wise, respecting what came before and after in timeline space, was respected in terms of the plot decisions that they made. Like, nothing broke the canon, I think, from all of our perspectives, in terms of like undoing something that happened in the original trilogy or changing something that happened in the prequel trilogy. But we don't get that confirmation of, whew, okay, everything is still good, until after we get the entire story of the show. So I think now here we are with the Acolyte, which is before the Phantom Menace, and everybody is, a lot of the biggest complaint out of last week is, oh, how does Ki-Adi-Mundi know about the Sith? He can't know about the Sith, because in the Phantom Menace, the Sith hasn't been around for 1,000 years. But we don't have the whole story yet. So I think someone said earlier, like, we know that the word dark side and Sith haven't been uttered by anyone yet. So those words haven't been
yeah, it's not
actually
even in the
said.
script.
And we still have 4 episodes to go, including the one in 31 minutes, that are gonna, I think, do what the prequels did, do what Kenobi did, and now is gonna do what this show is gonna do, which is all our questions are gonna be answered. It's all going to make sense. Like when you have a project like this, which is a prequel to something else that's well established, the Phantom Menace and the prequel trilogy, and literally the entirety of the rest of Star Wars. It's in everybody's best interest as the creators to tie it back into the bigger picture and make it make sense. I mean, if they were to do something so drastic in the show, and it's just gonna they're gonna end off the show with a giant hole with no explanation of, okay, how on earth in the next 100 years do we get to the point where we know we get to in the Phantom Menace? Like, that's not anyone's goal. Like, this is done with care and intent. And I think in the other projects where it's had similar tasks, Kenobi being the most constrained project they could have possibly saddled up to do, they did a great job in keeping the story consistent continuity wise with the prequels and the original. So I would expect the same thing to happen here with the Acolyte, even though Ki-Adi-Mundi showing up and there's Jedi dying from a dark side wielder. It does come into question, like, this is the guy who says straight up to the Chancellor, no, it's on the Jedi Council, sorry, that the Sith have been extinct for a millennia. So he's there for a reason, and we're going to find out why they added him into the show. And it's going to be very it's going to be done with intent and a very specific reason that we just don't have the answer to yet. Like, we don't have the answer to a lot of stuff that's going on in the show right now. And we still have the second half of the show to figure it out.
I tuned out during some of that because in the midst of it, we got Leroy Jenkins, which I thought was friggin' hilarious.
Leroy Jenkins!
Don't do it. But we'll catch up on we're behind on some member chats. Mike Hill, member for 24 months, friggin' 2 years, holy shnikes. Let's get it. I can't believe it's already been 2 years and May's companion is just toying with her. And he's really the master. Chimera, you think so? Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, that's what they're setting up. That's definitely what they're setting up.
Yeah, we will see. Bird Church, member for 18 months. Let's get it. No matter how evil the dark side character is or whoever gets killed off, I take comfort that Chewbacca's out there alive somewhere. Being awesome. That is so true. I didn't actually think about that or realize that or have the mental capacity to do that mental math, but I saw a post on Twitter this week of what characters we know of that are alive during this time period, and I saw Chewbacca on that list, and I was like, no freaking way. So thank God he's okay.
Chewie's out there balling, living life on Kashyyyk, presumably, hanging out before the war breaks out, and then nothing bad happens to the Wookiees, so.
Yes. This is hilarious from Bird Church. Did anyone else have to turn down their volume when Basil started going crazy? He certainly was singing from the diaphragm, y'all. That one was funny.
At first I thought it said when Brazil started going crazy, and I was like, Bird Church, what are you talking about? They tied yesterday. There wasn't much to go crazy about from a Brazil fan perspective, but yeah, Basil makes sense with the context of what we're talking about.
A little more sense. God King Soza says misconception that the Sith are in hiding, not extinct. Ki-Adi-Mundi is blinded by his hubris, and that's the whole point, in my opinion. No, I think that's a very fair assessment here. That's why I didn't panic or freak. Granted, it's also he's significantly younger. It's like 100 years difference. And also it was in the midst of a scene in which it's clear they're all corroborating to save their own skins and try to dampen the situation before it escalates even further. Like, that seems to be the kind of flaw and MO of the Jedi here, like, trying to get on top of something even if it risks, having to tell a little white lie or lie by omission to the larger council here. Like, that's what we know of the Jedi. Like, it's clear they feel some sort of, Vernestra has alluded to their political enemies, it's clear they feel some sort of threat here. They're no longer kind of in, like, the golden age necessarily anymore. Like, this, from my understanding, is, like, the tail end of their High Republic, in which it was truly, like, the ripest point in time for the Jedi, from my understanding. So it's, like, they can feel their public favor already dwindling, already fading, phasing out.
Yeah, but it's Venestra's fault. Kiadamundi says, like, literally says, we need to tell the High Council. We need to get them involved. So to his credit, he's saying, yeah, this is a big deal. Let's get them involved. And Venestra shuts it down. She's the one who's like, no, we can't get involved. Political enemies. We don't need the public turning against us. They can't think we're weak. All of her reasons that she listed. And then she leaves and then is real with Soul and is like, we got to get to the bottom of this. We can't let it get out, yada, yada. And then you see Kiadamundi and the other Jedi just like looking at their conversation. Like I think that shot was meant to show that the Jedi under Venestra are questioning her in this moment and her decision making to not involve the High Council.
Well, she was also in that moment lecturing Soul about the events that transpired on Brendok, like this could have been solved. How did you not realize this girl was still alive? And what is this coincidence here? How does this relate to you being the next target here, and all of your other companions who were there, stationed there at the time, are now deceased and in the line of fire, targets? I think they were also suspicious of that. I feel like they're a little bit questioning Soul and what they all, because it's clear, it's all kind of a microcosm. The Jedi here, led by Vernestra, are trying to keep this under wraps, on the down low, not letting this get out. Clearly, whatever happened on Brendok, Soul, Andara, Kelnaka, and Torben worked similarly to keep whatever happened there under wraps, to the point that, Torben just pieced out. He took that vow. He was like, all right, I'm tapping out, and was the first one to willingly go as soon as confronted with May, I think Soul perhaps is like, I don't know, like, he's still a little bit of an enigma when it comes to where he stands in all of this, and his either innocence or guilt in the midst of whatever the other three Jedi were doing at the time on that. There's still some wrongdoing there, some sort of mini corruption.
Well, we know that something's on his mind, and there's some guilt that he hasn't been able to shake,
Yeah.
because he says,
I'll tell you everything.
Osha, I'm sorry, I will, we'll tell you everything after this is over. And then, of course,
Famous last words.
Of course, he's not going to have the opportunity to tell him because he's going to die. So
stop it. No. People were comparing that on Twitter to Ned Stark with Jon Snow.
Yeah.
No spoilers.
Yeah, it is. It's very similar. It's like, oh, I'll tell you everything after we conveniently run into the Darksider, and who's going to give me the chop on my cabeza.
Stop.
So it would make total sense if Soul doesn't have the opportunity to tell Osha himself, but then the true story comes to light some other way. Like, as the audience, we would still get the answer, and it would be more tragic because Soul was trying to do the right thing, but he ended up not being able to really cleanse his sins by confronting the truth, whatever the truth may be from his perspective, with Osha. So it would be tragic. It would be heartbreaking.
Anyone who says we need to talk, that's a death sentence. For real, Charlie. Yeah, I mean, T-minus hope. I'm really hoping that we find out tonight. I didn't even consider the possibility that this could be another flashback episode, or that they could totally pull a Book of Boba Fett on us and just deflect to another point in the timeline or whatnot, or do more flashbacks and backstory and divert a little bit from the events at hand. But I'm really freaking hoping. Listen, I appreciate the boldness of having a cliffhanger as juicy as the one last week. Like, good on them. That was incredible, and I can only imagine them sitting back watching the internet collectively implode as they're just like,
It wasn't incredible. It was unbelievable.
It was wild.
I mean, I jumped off the couch. I was like, there is no way that they just cut to black right there.
I snapped. Y'all saw me. I short-circuited. So, yeah, I respect that. I thought that was like, all right, juicy, power to you, kudos for, something so bold like that. But if they were to then, that is truly diabolical, truly twisted if they were to cut there and then next episode doesn't even follow up. So I'm praying. I might be honestly salty if this episode doesn't address. I don't need any answers, frankly. I just need to see whatever the frick is about to unfold. with more of Darth Teef here and seeing them in action. Perhaps, if you guys saw my reaction, I was trying to do detective work and decipher from just like a few still frames, which, good on them. They planned it right. The lighting was a little bit poor. It's dark out. You really can't fully tell. Maybe if it had been perfectly sunny, it would be a little bit more evident, but I still am standing by what I said in my reaction. I feel like whoever this is, they've covered themselves in like mud or paint or something to try to further conceal their identity. That's why everybody who's trying to gauge who this is, I was like, their skin was gray. Their skin, you couldn't even tell. The lighting,
no, you can't tell.
You can't tell from really anything. So perhaps seeing more of their movements, them in action could. I'm still subscribing. I'm still riding the train of I hope this is somebody we don't entirely know just yet. But if it does turn out to be someone who's already been in the game and introduced to us, then perhaps their mannerisms and their movements will be a little bit more of a clue, and seeing them further in action.
Alice says she's an AC Milan fan. Alice, how about that dog, Christian Pulisic, aka Captain America? Quite a good season for Mr. Pulisic in Serie A with AC Milan. So I'm glad to hear that you're an AC Milan fan and you got the benefit from his performance.
Oh my goodness.
So for those wondering what we're talking about soccer. So
no, we are not.
We're rejecting.
Daddy Josh, what's up? Daddy Josh goes, hey, what's happening? And immediately Tom says, we're talking about soccer.
I'm talking about the Euros and Copa America, and anyway.
Yes, I'm serious.
See the discourse going on in the chat. So
come 2026, we might be doing full-fledged World Cup coverage, because after years of, I knew nothing about soccer when Tom and I first started dating, and now I'm actually a pretty invested fan. So stay tuned. We might low-key be doing coverage come the World Cup in 2 years.
Well, Kat will play soccer. That's what we'll do.
I won't be playing. I can critique them. I can't do it. You should be able to do it. Be doing detective stuff, Kat. For real, I tried. I tried with what I was given. That's why I'm hoping tonight we get a little bit more. I just want to see. I just think those last 5 minutes of the episode 4 were like some of the most perfectly executed, elements of this show so far. The setup to all of it, and just how, unpredictable it was, because the way the episode was going, with May's change of heart, and then, going, how's this going to work out with Kelnaka? I had hoped those words aged so poorly that I was like, I can't wait to see Kelnaka in action. And then, they, of course, I'm glad that happened off screen, because it also leaves other questions in regards to, this is a Wookiee we're talking about, and we saw him defend his turf, at the end of episode 2. When there's those other tourists on the planet and they get a little bit too close to his camp there, and he scares them off. So it's not like he's given up entirely and is willing to let just anybody walk all over or discover him. Yet he was, as soon as we see his body, it's immediately evident he's just limp, still in his chair, defenseless, and we don't necessarily see if he had a weapon or anything at the crime scene with him near his body. So it also begs the question, did he go out in similar circumstances as Torben, like just gave up without a fight, didn't even try, accepted his fate? So while yes, I had hoped that we were maybe going to see him in action, which I'm sure we might if there's still flashbacks to come, the decision to have him eliminated off screen, begs the question, did he go as easily as it looks? The fact that he was still slumped in his chair.
Yeah, no, Charlie's right. He was just napping. He was taking a nap. He was just taking a nap.
He's fine,
he just had a little surface wound on his stomach, but he was just taking a nap.
He's fine, guys. He's okay.
What we haven't talked about is like one of the opening shots of Kelnaka, and we see all of the
the
like
kind of markings,
swirly moon dot white milky markings, whatever those are.
That was a lot of adjectives.
It was a lot. I don't know how
y'all know what we're talking about. The tattoo that May and Anastasia have.
Yeah, those were all over the wall, and they had that like kind of pan shot that just was zooming across the wall in his ship, and all of those markings were there. So was he like? I wonder I think it all there is a bigger story here, and it might have been Yord who said like, oh, Kanaka's been on this planet for a year. He was sent there. Like they were implying that he was sent there on a mission.
Mm.
And I wondered if something like the fact that he went there, maybe it's not his ship and he's just looking for answers and studying. And so he went to the ship to study the Coven, learn history or something. But then why? I think why he would have went there and the Jedi told him to go study there is very, very intriguing. Because I think that some smaller group of Jedi are holding some secret. They know something, but they have not made it clear to the audience yet what they know. And another piece of evidence to that is in the flashback in episode 3, they're all there. How did they know to go to Brendok and track these children and the Coven and the witches? Like, we know that Mother Anastasia says, yeah, we've been exiled and we've been on the run and we finally settled down. So like there's some history with this group of witches that the Jedi are involved with, and it carries on, I think, up until, up through the modern day, where a year in the past the Kanaka was sent to go investigate perhaps this wreckage of witches history with all the symbols and whatnot. So there's a lot of interesting details and questions that they have been planting seeds for. And yeah, I mean, seeing Kanaka there where he was with those markings on the ship was very, very unexpected. But I think it's building up that this story is spanning over this entire time frame from 16 years ago when the Jedi first confronted them to now. I think their legacy and the Jedi's fascination with what was really going on there and their power perhaps has still carried on for 16 years until the modern day.
Yeah, to me, that opening sequence in which it reveals it's kind of sprawled all over his walls, like someone in a prison would have, chicken scratch of like their, how many days it's been or whatnot. Like, it kind of screamed obsession to me a little bit, in a way, like fixation on. I don't know. It was everywhere and it was on his walls. If you're just doing research, why I would stay in a notebook, you know what I'm saying? I feel like when somebody starts writing on their wall, that's when they're in deep. They're a little bit entrenched. But we're T-minus 12 minutes out, folks, from episode 5 after a week's worth of waiting. So poll topic tonight. We'll get it started early and see the answers coming in. And this is also open-ended. So if you have other theories that aren't that transcend beyond just the 4 categories here in our poll, the 4 options, do share. Because I think what is most exciting about this is everybody kind of has a different idea, interesting, theories in regards to who it could be. So, who is Darth Teef? We have Chimere, Coral, or Anastasia, Indara, or other. Starting poll. You may fire when ready. Yeah, I linked Coral and Anastasia together because I thought I had more options than just 4. Well, we're right out of the gate with Chimere overwhelmingly. Nope, don't end it. Don't end it. I want to be able to just click it. There we go. Majority of saying Chimere. Alright, that's fair. We'll find out. Maybe, I don't know. It'll be interesting if we see, this stranger, this mysterious figure wreak absolute havoc on the Jedi. If May sees this as a chance to, make an escape, because now it's like, what's gonna happen for her now? She needs to escape because she knows, frick, my master just showed up conveniently right as I was forsaking this entire deal that I had with him, you know? So she's a little bit on eggshells now, I imagine. So what's the next move for her? She's got to save her own skins. If she's like, bye, I'm gonna bounce and watch as all the Jedi get absolutely annihilated, yeah, it is interesting. What would she try to intervene here, or does she know? She seems extremely fearful of whoever this person, this entity is. I don't foresee her. The fact that she didn't intervene when she saw her own sister in the line of fire, before she got absolutely tossed, to me suggests she's not going to involve. She knows what they're up against and is going to use this as her opportunity to make an escape here before her master can get to her. Um, so that said, it could be interesting. It's like, all right, if we see this master wreak absolute havoc on the Jedi and then disappear, and then, 2 seconds later we see Chimera, like, I don't know, there could be, depending. It could be interesting, but for example, if we see May going to make an escape and she runs back to where she tied up Chimera and trapped him, if he's either gone or if he's still just hanging out there. Because it hasn't been that long. It was only maybe, like 15 minutes by the time she tied him up and then made it to Kelnaka's hut. So he could still realistically be there just hanging out. I want to say Chimera, but it feels too obvious. So I went with Coral, which was my original guess. Says Bird Church. Yeah, no, that's... I don't know.
Yeah, I think what's also interesting is that, like, May says, "Oh, I need to sit down for water," and Chimera's like, "No, we gotta go." Like, "No, let's go. Keep
Maybe
going.
he
Keep
knows that they're being followed by the master.
I think.
Where are you going with this?
I was gonna say, I think that he knows that the Jedi are trying to find Kelnaka as well, and so he's saying, like, he probably knows potentially where they were at, and so relative, he's probably like, "We got to get to Kelnaka first." But why wouldn't he just tell May that right out of the gate? So I think your theory is probably more promising. Of it's not Chimera, but Chimera knows the master is there
on their tail.
On the tail.
That's true. Why was he so? It keeps going back to begging the question: what is his investment in this? Why does he care so much? This is all May's tasks, unless he's been assigned by their joint master to keep an eye on her, unbeknownst to May. Unless he is on other orders himself to be watching over her. Where is his investment coming from? Why was he so in a hurry to get there? Why does he not want to sit down and take a breather? He keeps reminding May of her deal and what she has to be doing, as if she's not aware of it herself. Like, it's like he's there to keep her in check. But I feel like if you were our actual master, he'd be more hands-off about it. Not leaning in so much. Not constantly keeping up with her next assignment, next objective. I don't know.
Yeah. Probably.
It just would seem too heavy-handed. Like, if you're May, I'd be suspicious. Like, what? Why? She was even asking him. She was like, you ventured through these entire seemingly uncharted woods, incredibly difficult to navigate just for me to locate and scout where Kelnaka was. Like,
no.
She's questioning it as well. I don't know. I feel like if Chimera is not the master, I feel like it opens more possibility. It opens more avenues for an interesting storyline for him, because that's very complex. It's like, why does this smuggler, a character arc that the character trope in Star Wars that historically doesn't really necessarily care about anyone but themselves, and they're acting all usually out of self-service, the scoundrel type smuggler arc, why would they be so invested here in help? What are they getting at it? I think there's more interesting questions to be asked of Chimera's intentions if he's not the master, if he too, like May, they're kind of both victims in this person's web. He said it as kind of like a throwaway comment, but he was like, our master, he likes to just collect people. Like, we're all indebted to him. So I think it makes their relationship more interesting too if they're both puppets in the same scheme here, and then perhaps have to help get each other out. I don't know, just 10, not even, no, we're 6 minutes out.
Yep.
6 minutes
Charlie said it's already out, so
holy shnikes.
they might have dropped it early.
Yes.
But we got 27% people saying other. What are people's others? I know Toby's chiming in about Plagueis and Tenebris.
Ooh.
I think that they, whichever one makes sense timeline wise, would be the true master, like the true master, like the dark side, Darth Teef, Smilo Ren, whatever. that we've seen can't be the true master. It's like
Yeah.
Vader with the Inquisitors, but we know that Big Daddy Sheev is the real master, the manifestation of literal pure evil. So I think the person we see now is just the apprentice. So I think it would make sense, and hoping for that tie-in with, you know, Tenebris and Plagueis and Sidious and the true line of the rule of two in the Sith come into play here, and it would make sense that they would be the real master pulling the strings behind the scenes. And I think for that person, it probably makes sense that the Jedi have no inclination of that person, but the audience, they can make the tie-in with the audience, and we understand that, oh, this is exactly how this dark side wielder fits into the bigger picture of the Sith and, you know, what we know throughout the rest of the Star Wars canon.
Yeah, I don't know, but as somebody said, Toby suggested earlier, we might not even get these answers today, which, yeah, I know, I have to keep reminding myself. All week I've been like, just gotta wait 7 days and then we'll know. But it's like, we might actually be having the same conversation next week with just perhaps a little more context, a little more clues, perhaps mannerisms and whatnot to go off of, fighting style, who knows. I really do hope, though, that we see that there's way more to whatever is about to go down here, this kind of battle. What is it, like 10v1? These Jedi here versus the stranger?
They don't like those odds.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I really hope that's what I'm most nervous about now. At this point, I don't even care if we get the answers. I just really hope this episode picks up exactly where it left off.
It has to.
Otherwise, I will be like in shambles. I will be absolutely wrecked.
Yeah. It totally has to. If it doesn't, it's different than like The Force Awakens. This is like literally in the middle of a battle. This is not just like, oh, what happens next? This is like, you already initiated the conflict, and you didn't just end right before the conflict. The conflict already started. They literally already, force toss and force push, and they're all thrown back. Like, the conflict has started, and as soon as it starts, then you're going to cut it out. Like, you cannot possibly have the audacity to have this next episode not be immediately after it. If it is, then that is a cruel game they're playing over at Lucasfilm.
That would be bold. Listen, I always say, y'all know, I respect boldness, but there's a fine line between bold and cruel, and that's just cruel. That's just like, all right, please don't. So I think if they don't want to enrage people, listen, I'd still watch either way week to week, but that would certainly be a big blow. So we'll find out. T-minus only 2 minutes left for some of you. I think the episode is probably already dropped. So thank you all so much for tuning in as everybody is refreshing their Disney Plus. I think it releases at just random different times for all of us. Charlie seems to get the episode like 10 minutes early somehow. I need to go to his latitude and longitude. They get early access.
We're literally right near whoever is pushing the button to release it. It's literally right up there.
Well, so it seems to reach him first.
We get it first.
You would think.
But we're also not checking because we're streaming,
we don't check. But for the rest of you, I'm sure everybody's logging off and refreshing theirs to see if the episode has dropped. So thank you all so much for joining us for this very fun chat. I was excited for today's topic. We will end our poll there with still overwhelming results in favor of Chimere, almost 50%. But 30% there coming up in second place with perhaps somebody else, but we might not even learn tonight, folks. But regardless, I've heard that this is going to be a wild episode. I will catch you guys in my reaction, which I will try to post promptly, and get that out as soon as humanly possible, so that we can all continue the conversation over there after we have some more answers. This has been another Tuesday Fun Day Dork Discourse live stream and chat room party, baby. Thank you, Jason.
Shout out to you, Jason.
We gotta get merch that says all of that on it. Come join Getting Time next time. Skull. Thank you so much, Jason. You're doing our self promo for us. But yes, y'all know the drill. We're here every Tuesday, same time, every time, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. I did chat when some of you guys had asked about Alex and Zach, if they're all right, if they are safe last week. I did have a chat with them. I think stay tuned. We might be doing some Cat and Zach show later this week. to hear, so you guys get to maybe hear from him. And of course, I will stream that on this channel as well, and that'll be streamed over on ADHD, the Evil Ewok podcasts, after a little bit of a long hiatus. So stay tuned, folks. Maybe this Thursday evening we'll be catching up with Zach to see what he thinks. But until then, enjoy the episode, everybody. It's probably definitely out by now. So
enjoy, everyone.
Thank you guys so very much for watching. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day, night, morning, evening, 3 a.m., wherever you may be. Enjoy episode 5, and we'll see you guys again very, very soon.
Yes. See you all on the other side.
Oh, God. Bye, friends.